Manchester United began their Premier League campaign with a 1-0 win over Fulham. It was a decent performance, definitely an improvement from last year, and although it wasn't convincing and there were enough flaws in the game, it was a deserved 3 points. But I don't want to talk about the overall performance today. Instead, I want to zone in on one player in particular, because there are some points that I want to make about him today. I have my preconceived opinions about this player, and most of you do too, but the game against Fulham kind of got me a little bit confused, because there were enough good actions from him in the game to say he still got it, but enough of his old antics to suggest why he's being shipped to Saudi Arabia in the first place. Of course, I'm talking about Casemiro. But before we get into all of that, a few things. First up, this is the last time I'm ever recording with this backdrop, because I'm moving out of this room and out of this country since I'm done with my studies. So say goodbye to that. This might be the second last video that I ever record, because there's another video that I want to pre-record and then edit when I get to another country that I'm going to. So yeah, that's really about it. If you're new here, I usually do more heavy stuff, more informative stuff, but because I needed a quick video, I thought this might be a good little change of scenery. So yeah, check out my other stuff above somewhere. If you do like it, like, subscribe and all that. And let's get right into it. My view on Casemiro heading into the new season was sell him at all costs. Throughout last year, he proved to be a liability of biblical proportions, and with the wages he's on, it was better to cut him loose and sign another guy. Worst case scenario, try to see if you can terminate his contract. That's better than nothing. But with the wages that he's on, obviously it's going to be hard to attract a buyer, and that proved to be the case with the only country that was interested in him opting against signing him. So we are stuck with him for the time being. His preseason performances were terrible, and so was his first half performance in the Community Shield. But something switched in the second half, especially after Collyer came on. He was good. So the game against Fulham would have been confirmation bias on whether he still got it or not. And I'm happy to report, the bias has not been confirmed. If anything, I'm more confused. Actually, there is a little bit of bias confirmed, because watching the game live, I felt like it was an 8.5 out of 10 type of performance, but watching the game back, because I needed to get clips and screenshots for this video, I actually watched the game back in detail. I think it was a 7 out of 10 performance at best, and in this video, I'm gonna try and provide my arguments as to why. More specifically, I'm trying to go for more of his on-the-ball performance and his off-the-ball positioning when we're either pressing or when we have the ball. And maybe his 1v1 duels if I get to that. But this is the first time I'm doing anything of this sort, so do let me know if I'm missing something or if I misinterpreted something. But yeah, outside of that, let's get right into it. Hi everyone, I'm recording this while I am editing. I just want to say I feel like I was a bit harsh calling it a 7 out of 10. Probably a 7.5 out of 10 is a more reasonable rating. And also for everything that's about to come, usually I will put videos in, but because there are copyrights and I don't want to get the video taken down even though it's not monetized, I'm gonna just put slideshows of the event. So yeah, enjoy. Within 20 seconds of the match starting, Casemiro gets onto a loose ball and plays a lovely pass first time to Bruno and Rashford, who made runs in behind, only for both of them to be judged offside. 2 minutes later, United had a period of sustained possession. Casemiro got the ball and tried to play it first time to Bruno Fernandes, who was surrounded by Fulham players, and consequently, we lost the ball. And I think those two sentences kind of sum up Casemiro's on-the-ball performance in this entire United tenure. One of Manchester United fans' biggest criticism of Casemiro, and there's quite a few, maybe we'll get to the others in a bit, is that he treats the ball like it's on fire, even when there is nobody within a 5-mile radius of him. And that was sometimes still the case in this match. For example, there was a point around the 82nd minute when Fulham had a sustained period of pressure over United. Man United just won the ball back, and instead of trying to keep it for a while and playing it safe, Casemiro tried to hoof it, only for it to end up being blocked by a Fulham player and them getting the ball right outside United's penalty area. Thankfully, the recipient was Adama Traore, so it wasn't going to go in either way. There was a point in the 85th minute when Casemiro headed the ball without contest into a space where nobody was there. There were quite a few more examples, but he also had one absolutely gorgeous delivery into the box, and if it weren't for Kenny Tete, I think Russia would have buried it. There was also this first time pass he played and created for Bruno, which he should have scored. This is what I mean. His passing, especially first time passes or more vertical passes, are sometimes good, sometimes shit. His passing in build-up was largely fine. He didn't really do any groundbreaking stuff, but he always laid it back to Lisandro, Maguire or Mazraoui, who are technically better passers than him in build-up, and didn't really do any nonsense, so that was a good thing. Granted, Fulham never pressed the back line, and the one time they did, from what I recall, Casemiro was further up the pitch and not part of the back three, so against a better team with a better press coordination, he definitely would not be part of the setup. Overall, his passing was satisfactory. Actually, it would be above satisfactory, I would say. Very satisfactory. Let's give him the benefit of the doubt. But what wasn't so satisfactory, and what I didn't notice while watching the game live, and only kind of picked it up while I was watching the game back, was his work out of possession. And that's kind of the reason why I'm dumping his performance from an 8.5 to a 7. Manchester United's pressing and counter-pressing in this game was actually quite decent, and Bruno Fernandes and Mason Mount were a big part of the reason why. And Casemiro did his bit too, but maybe a bit too much, because there were times when he was rushing at the keeper, and sometimes it did work, but it left Kobbie Mainoo as the one-man midfield, which was the case last year, and a big reason why we had one of the most porous midfields. And if United were playing a better side at playing out from the back, say Brighton next week, I think we'll be in trouble. Kobbie Mainoo definitely impressed me more in this aspect. He hasn't received too many plaudits for his performance in the game, and that might be a good thing, let him develop outside of the spotlight, but he did engage and won more duels than Casemiro, and considering who was the one-man midfield and who was up as a false 9, it makes sense. I might be being a bit harsh on Casemiro, and that's because I'm trying to judge him based on his actions and what he did in the game, not necessarily how Fulham took advantage of his actions, because Fulham aren't the best side, they're not the benchmark. And like I said, if Brighton were in this position and he tried to press Jason Steele or John Paul Van Hecke, they're gonna know how to play out of that situation. And Mainoo's gonna be left to hold the fort on his own, and he will have to run back. Casemiro will have to run back into midfield, and he doesn't have the legs to do that for 90 minutes. And that's kind of the problem here. He barely has the legs for Fulham. What makes you think he will have the legs for Brighton? Manchester United are still in the market for a midfielder, namely Manuel Ugarte. Now, I've not really seen Ugarte live, and that's kind of a bit of a problem if I'm doing a video, because it kind of doesn't allow you to give your opinion about the player. But I've done my reading about him, and he seems like a younger, more mobile and less erratic version of Casemiro. You do lose that verticality in passing, that incisiveness in the final third, but you do gain a lot more in terms of discipline, defensive positioning, and just legs in general. Also, according to statistics, he's one of the best at winning the ball and then recycling possession, so you do gain some bits on Casemiro. I don't believe he's the final destination player, and I do have my reservations about how he will fit in, but if you're gonna go for the same setup as the first game, then there aren't many number 6s in the world who can suit what Casemiro is doing, and Ugarte might be our best shot. And if we do switch up in 25-26, which I hope that's the case, then we can just repurpose Ugarte into a number 8, similar to what Mason Mount's currently doing, or what Fred once did, or what Ander Herrera once did. Also, the emergence of Toby Collyer might help in this aspect. He's also somebody who likes to play in midfield, but he's a different type of midfielder to both Casemiro and Ugarte. He's a lot less erratic, a lot more calmer on the ball, but the problem is his only senior minutes are those 30 or so minutes that he played in the Community Shield, and I doubt he will get more than 800 league minutes. We are getting sidetracked here, so let's get back on Casemiro. Hi, this is me while editing again. While in the process of editing, Manchester United have signed Sekou Kone from Mali. I don't think he necessarily changes any point that I've made. It's a situation similar to Collyer. It's just going to be in the under-21s for the first year. Maybe from 2025 he will be a lot more prominent. So yeah, I just felt like I should let you guys know that. I don't know why. But yeah, let's just get back into the video. Now, at this point in the video, usually I would have a conclusion to tie back into everything. But I don't know how to do it for this video, because the only things I really have left to say are, he's had a decent start to the season. I have huge doubts on if he can continue this form. I hope he continues the form, because our midfield could potentially be non-existent if he doesn't turn up. that's really about it. See ya.